Hello, and welcome back to the Creative Business Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Jane Bellante. So glad you're here. Today, we're going to deep dive into one of the most powerful mindset shifts I have ever made, and one that actually completely transformed my business and my life. So, if you are constantly feeling like there's not enough time, not enough money, not enough traction, this episode is for you because what I'm about to share will help you flip the script and start attracting the abundance you deserve. So, let's talk about identity and how it shapes your results, especially when it comes to lack versus abundance. Welcome to the Creative Business Mindset Podcast, the show where creativity meets strategy and mindset meets success. I'm Jane Bellante, artist, coach, and creative entrepreneur, here to help you break free from self-doubt, clear limiting beliefs, and build a business that aligns with who you truly are. Each week, we dive into the mindset shifts, visibility strategies, and creative breakthroughs that help you turn your passion into a thriving business without burnout, overthinking, or perfectionism holding you back. If you're ready to step into your power, create with confidence, and grow a business you love, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. So here is a truth bomb. Attention to the lack of what is wanted causes it to increase and come closer to you. And I know that seems crazy, but let's let that sink in for a minute. If your thoughts are constantly centered around what you don't have, not enough clients, not enough sales, not enough time, not enough support, then you're unknowingly holding yourself in resistance to the very things that you want. Because what you focus on expands. What you focus on grows. You've heard that before, right? So I want this to be sort of an identity check for you. Are you aligned with lack or are you aligned with abundance? So this is where we bring in my first pillar, and it's the identity pillar. Okay, so your identity is where you're operating from. And whether you know it or not, you could be operating from lack all the time. And this is, your conditioning and your upbringing, your limiting beliefs. These are the things that run all the time in the back of your mind, and they control your actions and they control your vibration. So if your identity is where you're operating from, I want you to ask yourself, am I operating from a mindset of lack? Or are you operating from a mindset of possibility? So think about when you say things like, I don't have enough time, or I can't afford that, or I'm not as good as so and so, or oh my gosh, I love to create, but I can't show my art to anyone, or I really want to show up more. I really do. I know that this is meant for me, but I'm still afraid to show my face. I'm still afraid to show who I am. When you say things like that, you're literally reinforcing the identity who is stuck, someone who is stuck, someone who is limited, and someone who doesn't have any power. But that's not who you really are. It's just who you've been trained to be. And you've actually trained yourself to be that way. It's really, really, really crazy. The stories that we perpetuate that keep us in the lack hole. And most of the time, we don't even know that we're doing it. We just feel stress. We feel anxiety. We feel unworthy. And so this was me. Listen, I come here and show up and do this and talk about this stuff because this was me. And here's how I began shifting this, not only in my personal life, but in my business. I stopped affirming lack. I began to notice the thoughts that I was saying over and over and over. And mine stemmed from like, I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. That's what ran in my head all the time. And, I'm sitting here wondering why my creative business isn't growing because what I was perpetuating was I am not enough. I am not good enough. And so I stopped affirming that and I started directing my thoughts towards what I actually wanted. I just said at the beginning of this, what you focus on grows, right? So if I'm focused on I'm not enough, I'm not good enough all the time, what's going to grow? I'm not good enough. I'm not enough. So when you start to deliberately direct your thoughts towards what you want begins to show up. So instead of saying something like, I don't have enough time, you can say, I create time. Or instead of saying, I can't afford that, you can say, I'm creating the resources so that I can afford that. Or I'm creating the resources because I love to invest in myself. So it's just a baby little shift. And it's not toxic positivity because I hate that. You can see right through that. And it feels more like a lie than truth, right? We're not talking about toxic positivity. We're talking about deliberately choosing a new identity because that's the truth of who we are. We are worthy simply by just being here. And when we begin to choose that instead of the lack story that we're telling all the time, more abundance shows up in your 3D world. What you focus on grows. So I chose to become someone that trusts and allows. And I'm not saying that this was something that was like, now I'm someone who trusts and allows, right? It's discrediting the old stories of lack and imparting new memories of abundance into my brain over and over and over. So I'm choosing this. I'm choosing to focus on being someone who trusts, someone who allows, and someone who acts in alignment with abundance as though I already am there even before the evidence shows up. And that's the shift. You have to find a way to feel abundant now so that more abundance shows up. And how do you do that? It's just a shift of your thoughts. It's getting excited about the things that you really want in your life and repeating that over and over and over and over and over and over. Because what you've repeated over and over and over and over, to probably this day, are the thoughts of lack. And that's what keeps showing up. It's that same pattern. Oh, why does this keep happening to me? Right? It's that same pattern over and over. And so it takes commitment and focus to become the abundant person that you are inside, but you will not let yourself be. So hopefully that makes sense. And again, we cannot focus on lack and expect to receive abundance. What you focus on grows. Lack and abundance are, they're on the opposite sides, right? So if you're focusing on lack, you're going to get more lack. If you're focusing on abundance, you're going to get more abundance. And the thing that I really want you to take away from this episode more than anything is just that. You cannot focus on lack and expect abundance to show up. They're two totally and completely different frequencies. So energetically, it just doesn't work that way. Lack is fear. Abundance is trust. Lack closes doors and abundance opens them. So when you're obsessing over what's missing, you're not allowing what's meant for you to come in. Oh my God, I don't have enough. Like consistently, continually checking your bank account to see if you have enough money in there. That was me. I did that all the time. I checked my bank account numerous times every day with a pit in my stomach. Oh my God, I'm never going to have enough. I'm never going to have enough. I'm never going to have enough. And what showed up? Not enough. Over and over and over and over, obsessing over what was missing. And so I would never allow abundance in because I was not focusing on it. I was focusing on lack. I was focusing on sitting at the bottom of the lack hole, never understanding why I couldn't get out. But I'm doing all the things. But when your thoughts are not in alignment with what you want, you're never going to get what you want. It's really crazy. So I want to help you redirect your focus. And there are 4 things that you can do to help you to do that. And it's just a shift, but like I said, it really does take commitment to make the shift. So the first thing is awareness that you're having the thought in the first place. So catching the thought in the moment. And how I do this is because sometimes, a lot of the times, you don't even know what thoughts are running in your brain. You just feel the stress or the anxiety in your body. Like, why am I feeling super stressed right now? That is a clue. And what I will ask myself is, what did I just tell myself that caused me to feel this way? Because thoughts create emotions. And the feelings in your body that are created from emotions are always in the present moment. So if you can tune into what your feelings are, you're automatically becoming present. And then if you can take a big deep breath at that time as well, because breath and feelings are always in the present moment, then you have taken yourself out of whatever thought pattern. Maybe you're thinking of evidence from the past, or maybe you're projecting a future that's not even here yet, right? And you can go, what did I just say to myself? And sometimes the thought will come back and I'll go, oh my God, I just told myself I wasn't worthy of that. Like, what in the world? And then I can discredit the thought and go, you know what? That's not true. You can always ask yourself, is this true? The second thing that you can do is you can use this kind of theory called identity flip. And identity flip is just you asking, who would I be if I were already abundant? Would I be worried? Would I be telling myself I wasn't enough? Would I be telling myself I wasn't good enough, wasn't worthy, needed to be perfect, needed to overthink, needed to compare, needed to fear? Who would I be if I were already abundant? And then you can speak and act and create from that place. It's like the actor who embodies the role that they are playing. They speak, they act, and they create from that place. So the third thing that you can do that really helps is you can redirect the thought. So this is the same thing I just said, like discrediting the thought. Instead of saying, I don't have enough clients, I am not getting enough sales. Nobody's buying my products. Nobody's walking into my brick and mortar. Nobody's coming into my booth space, et cetera, right? You can say, I'm attracting the right clients right now. The people who love my art are buying it all the time. And even though you might not have evidence in your 3D world, this is how you start to create the memories in your brain. So you're starting to impart this because memories are thoughts. Okay. So you're giving your brain new memories of abundance instead of memories of lack. So you're redirecting your thoughts. And then lastly, celebrate what is working. So instead of focusing on what you don't have, appreciate what you do have, because then you're making space for more. In my Ignite program and in my mastermind, I have them write down or give me at least 3 wins from the week. What was a win? Because what you focus on grows. That's how I started this podcast today, right? What you focus on grows. So when you celebrate what's working, when you appreciate what you do have, you create space for more to come in. And it's beautiful and it feels easy and you feel free. And I know that this is why we started our business, because we love to create whatever it is that we love, solo entrepreneurs. And we want to make money from doing that. And it all comes back to your identity, where you're working from. And you really do need to dive in and understand where you're working from. Where is your energy attached to? So if you're putting your products in your booth and you're down, like no one's going to come in, no one's going to see this, no one's going to buy this anyways, guess what's going to happen? No one's going to come in, no one's going to buy this anyways, right? Your identity, where you're working from, is how you attract. You're not just a business owner. You are a creative force. You're a visionary. That's why you started your business. The idea of creating abundance for yourself, doing what you love, is very attractive. And I want you to understand that you're here for a reason. You've started this business for a reason. And it's not to be burned out and not make enough money, right? That's not why we did this. When you align with the identity of someone who is powerful and worthy and abundant, you begin to create those results that match that frequency. It has happened to me time and time and time again. I would not be on here telling you this if I did not believe it. I've seen it in my own life and in my own business. And so I want you to ask yourself this: where am I operating from lack? And maybe it has to do with time. Maybe it's because you feel overwhelmed. Maybe it's because you're doing too many things in your business. You're spinning too many plates. Your branding is off. Your messaging is off. There's so many different ways. And what's one way you can flip that script right now? What is one way? Just think of one way that you can redirect and flip that script so that you can begin to operate as the business owner that you wish you were, you wish you had. Tune in to that person and ask them, would I be feeling this if I already had what I wanted? Generally, the answer is no. So if you are ready to go deeper into aligning your identity with the creative business that you really want to build, I am having a 5-day challenge starting April 7th, and it is called Build an Unbreakable Business in 5 Days. The link's in the show notes. We will take 5 days and align you with your identity so that you know who your customer is, how you help them, and then how to become visible doing what you love so that you create more abundance, more flow, and more ease in your life. So sign up for that. The link is in the show notes. And remember, if this episode resonated with you, share it. Share it with somebody who you know would get a lot out of this episode as well. And I want you to remember that you are 100% possible 100% of the time. And when you align with that possibility, your whole life will change. I will see you Monday for Motivation Monday, and I hope that you have a really great week. Thanks so much for being here, and I will see you next time.